Hey folks, sorry, so very sorry. This is the strangest bug I've ever had, actually. My Steam crashed, of all things, ladies and gentlemen. Very sorry about that. Let's go ahead and make sure we get everything sorted out and situated here. Exton, you ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
Alright,
I want some hype game 2 action.
Okay, good. Hopefully no more stream crashes anyway. Okay, well anyway, folks, let's get back into the action here. Very soon. Honestly, do you feel like, based off of that performance in particular by Team Not Content, that they definitely had some sort of, you know, something like a feeling in their gut that they just didn't feel too right about what was happening in that match?
Well, I guess they just weren't too confident about the engages. They really wanted to more focus on the siege part of their comp and kind of play it more as in a like fallback kind of style.
And it did pay off for them in the end because they kind of walked right into their trap for the most part. Orange just set it up nice and cleanly. Leona, having no other option, trying to force the two carries to not kill their targets, ends up dying very fast. And, well, I think we're quite clear on what happened there. Let's hope, for both teams' sake, we get some more heavy impact action, because this is going to be some good stuff to watch. Going to be, and is, technically. I like the music I picked. Pretty catchy. Pretty good sounding.
So what do you think is going to come out different here in the picks and bans?
Never look back.
Probably, I would dare say the same, honestly. I think it might be the same picks and bans for the most part. There wasn't really, either side couldn't really show the other that there was worthy of, like, the champions in these matches definitely didn't bring up any red flags saying, this dude's way OP. We cannot let this person be played.
Well, I don't know. I feel like you banned the Ornn this game.
Yeah.
Maybe. Although, in some people's perspectives, they probably wouldn't see Little Green that much of a threat as Ornn. So, I would say
Impure
probably
fools.
not. You know, I mean, clearly Ornn had complete control of the game, but it was because Shen was immediately picked first that he was so dominant. So, you know, Shen's not going to be picked first this time, especially not for Rice. So, I would dare say this is pretty much Little Green's option of picking, you know, the bot lane first. The bans come in right away, and it's almost this exact same of this situation, and J4 is secured yet again for King Win bot.
Yeah, I don't really like not having any adaptation in the bans, but
Agreed.
We see the Maokai already locked in, not liking the Shen. So hopefully that is a better answer if he does decide to go with the Ornn again. I do think Ornn still does fine in that matchup, but Maokai can probably hold his own a little bit more with the sustain. And they go ahead and lock in the Sejuani as well. Super powerful jungler. A lot better than the Rammus. We'll be able to start off those fights with the ultimate.
A lot better than the Rammus, you say. And by the way, here you go, folks, the match history of Game 1. I know some people in particular are a big fan of taking a look at the statistics themselves. But thank you very much for keeping tabs and track of many things. Anyway, looks like we have a bit of a repeat because Choco Bear just secured the Kog'Maw for Abe, and Abe wants to have a Kog'Maw here. Interesting. So if they're not going to sway it off, they're going to just continue to force the Kog'Maw to be played in these matchups here as Hitsuyagi takes his Corki, which appears to most likely be the mid-laning option.
Maybe like that.
I'm sorry, what?
Maybe like that.
You're lagging a bit? I'm lagging a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let me go ahead and see if I can fix that. Definitely seem to having some sort of lag problem.
No problem.
Shabanova.
Am I still lagging?
We should be good.
Okay.
Ah, come on.
Well, the hype
the
factor
worst
of
that
this
could
match
happen?
is
Yeah.
so insane. My internet can't even handle. Can't even
Okay.
handle anything.
So we do see a lot of variation in the second part of this draft here. Not wanting the Oriana to go over to Chaco, I think, is a great decision. We already have the Jarvan, who could have been an enabler last game. Don't want to give him the chance to do it again. But on the side of Never Content, they don't want to see that Jinx again. Jinx was clearly comfortable for Outlaw, and it was potentially game-changing.
Yeah, and that's where the big red flag started to show up and appear, really, because they were just like, wait, what? And then suddenly the crits were starting to hit, and everybody was starting to get really low, and that's where stuff was starting to look very, very scary. But thankfully, they managed. Ornn single-handedly, Little Green is going to take Ornn again, by the way. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised or shocked about that. Ornn just definitely seems to be insanely good. Whether he found the right combination of runes or not, he seems to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, but especially with the Sejuani, you have a lot more gank potential now onto that Ornn.
Oh, yeah.
But in two melee champions, you stack up the Sejuani stun very nicely. Especially with the Maokai route, should be pretty easy if he does decide to overextend in that lane again.
Yes.
But huge pick here, Vigar, not commonly seen, being blind picked at that. Oh no, never mind, that's a mid Corki. It's not blind picked, but it's Vigar, which is always hype.
And Nami being secured as well. You know, here's where I think there's a bit of an issue. Now, color me a Season 7 hater here, but don't you think Malachi Sejuani might be a little bit too, the wrong pick, I would say, for this type of situation? I feel like one of the reasons why everything kind of went so poorly for them in the last game was there wasn't any, damage dealer. There was a heavy reliance on, two members, solving the problem for damage, but that didn't work. Malzahar and Jinx, they did what they could, but it wasn't enough extra damage, hence why they got the Leona, right? At least that's how I perceive it. But
yeah, they are a little weak on the damage side. They do have a really strong mid game with the Caitlyn Corki. It sets up for kind of like this off, like kind of not really a siege comp, but not really a team fight comp. Because with the Sejuani and the Maokai, they're going to be looking to like go in and dive, whereas Corki Caitlyn, you're kind of just looking to poke out, not really go too much, and not really trying to engage or like go into like these massive fights because. To frontliners, that neither of those champions do particularly a good amount of damage unless they get really far ahead.
Yeah, and on the opposing side here, you have like Ornn, who clearly showed his health percentage damage was lethal. You have J4, who could just create the nice little box area, which even is now easier for Veigar, who can create his own box. And then you have Kog'Maw here, who could just shoot right in the middle of whatever playpen he gets to shoot at. Where Lulu just watches. Menacingly.
Lulu, Kog'Maw just gets scarier and scarier as the game goes on.
Yeah, and I feel like, one happens to want to be as strong as possible to win the game, while the other's kind of like, I don't know.
What worries me here, for the side of Never Content, is that they don't have the Morgana this game, something that can kind of
cancel out
cancel out engages, but also really easily set up a play. Because with the Morgana, like if you throw a binding, it's like, all right, let's kill this guy, and they don't have that this game, and they didn't really want to engage too much without the Morgana say so last game. Mm-hmm. So whether it's Kingwin stepping up this game or Little Green going man mode, I'm just curious to see like where the engage comes from on their side.
And I mean, and Little Green's well capable of man mode, as he single-handedly fought a Jinx and a Shen to prevent a Penta, so it's quite obvious this man is quite clearly the thickest beard is on this man right here, confirmed.
Yeah, he should have a very, very nice time in that lane, especially with the new Grasp of the Undying. The stats on that are just absolutely insane, and he benefits from it so much since he builds so much health.
Though personally, if you want my opinion here, I definitely am looking at Never Content and saying, yeah, this is clearly what damage looks like. And I think if I'm a damage guy, which I feel like I am, I'm on Never Content here. What do you think? What's your opinion?
Judging off of compositions, I think Never Content has a more visible playstyle, and they can navigate these fights pretty well with their champions. You Lulu Walt to J4, who's going in. Bygar just puts up a box, defend Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw kind of just rips through the front line. Whereas it's gonna be really hard for Paleostorm to try and navigate this because you, like I said, you have like this half team fight comp, half siege comp. So we'll see how it plays out and if they're able to develop any advantages from their lanes. I think they definitely drafted stronger lanes, but how they'll play out in the 5v5 is going to be completely different.
And we will see that complete difference coming up soon here. They do have a good way to make some plays in some situations. But again, I just feel like, you know, this is just a little too weak as a whole, let alone like a little bit in the past, I would say.
This is the new patch, so could Corki be busted?
Oh yeah, you're absolutely correct. He looks like he is going for the precision, in fact. As I just take a quick gleam of it before the game immediately started.
Yeah, I believe that's lethal tempo.
Yes. Yes, it is, yes.
So definitely they'll be looking to group up probably around the time Corki gets Triforce. Caitlyn maybe might go for a first item IE in order to try and synergize item timings with the Corki. We do have a pause though. Don't get too hype yet.
Uh-huh, folks. The pause coming back strong, as we most probably are going to see a pause, maybe a bathroom break on one side or the other, from what I can tell. Most likely would be the reason. The mentality of Team NotStreamers here was, okay, we like winning the game quick. I was talking with the guy in the interview. He said, we like winning the games very fast, very quickly, just bring them to a close in a sense of like, through great coordination and trying to make team fights as clean as possible. Now, we saw those team fights so far in every single one of these games, and they did attempt to make it as clean as possible, but it didn't end the way that they were looking for. You know what I mean? It just kind of like the momentum just got crushed. The second you saw those health bars start to go down and the Orianna ultimate started to hit consistently, and it's just everything started to just come apart at the seams, and slowly but surely the victory was just in the hands of their very strong opponent, only purely in some people's cases because they just walked into death. But in honest case, I feel like the complete ward control 100% decided that game. Second to sorry, I shouldn't say 100%. That's actually inaccurate. I should say the vision control was the primary focus and was insanely valuable and powerful, and that controlled so much of this game, because that's that's what made them walk into their death time and time and time again.
It secured them 3 Barons basically, just getting pick after pick after pick. So, and I 100% agree with you there.
Yeah. Anything? So in your history in particular, I don't know if you want me to keep talking about your history or not. But I know for a fact you are quite the engaging support. Last time I saw you play in particular, you loved that Rakan support and engaging as a whole here. These teams seem to have a little bit of trouble with the type of engages. What do you have words of wisdom?
Well, they just play a little bit differently. They rely on their junglers and top mostly for their source of engage, which is a completely fine way to play the game. And if you're gonna play a team that supports it, then more power to you. And that's what they're doing with the Lulu in the bot, with the Nami in the bot. God, Ornn is oppressive.
Not only oppressive here, but he is just has so much percentage health damage and can just do so much tick. It's like having a Rumble and having a Shen in the same package. At least it feels that way. Abe taking some onslaught damage. He was behind in farm last time. This looks to be the same type of situation here. Because Lulu
Yeah,
is
Caitlyn Nami is brutal into a Kog'Maw. There's just really not much you can do. Cronenberg, though, taking a really, really bad trade there.
Indeed he did. Nami's in a pretty bad spot, but Abe does not seem to want to make any extra damage commitment. Doesn't want to risk his own life to make this play work. Ooh, Hopper really low. The bubble lands, and unfortunately, Outlaw is too low to try to make a big play here. This bot lane is extremely aggressive. Neither side wants to surrender to the other or give ground yet. They're still swinging at each other.
Yeah, eventually Nami and Caitlyn are just going to out-sustain this lane. It's close for now, but they just can't beat the sustain. Caitlyn should have been trading there with Lulu. Just small misstep, but...
Yeah, Outlaw definitely is more focused on the farm here, and the Nami, Cronenberg in particular, definitely is not convincing the Caitlyn that this is a trade you should take. At least he definitely thinks this way. And that might be what is causing a little bit of that early situation to go in the favor of the Kog'Maw and Lulu right now. Hopper is taking some quick trades here. Rice swinging back at the top side. Sorry to split focus here. But Little Green just is so oppressive, has so much control, and their jungler does not care about Rice. Dragon Moon has wouldn't even give this man, he wouldn't even go to this man's funeral at this stage of the game. Wouldn't
Hopper
even go to this
is
man's
just...
funeral.
Hopper is just doing so much damage with that Lulu. He's somehow still putting in damage despite having Nami sustain. It's
Hopper right
really,
next to that
really
trap,
impressive
right
to
next
watch.
to the ward as well, by the way.
Playing with fire.
Playing with some fire. Gonna go
Rice
ahead.
does not look like he's having a fun time here.
Oh no, he does not, but he's gonna hopefully trust his teammates to fix his situation here. He actually, did he avoid the brittle? No, he did not avoid the brittle, but the proccing brittle Little Green was trying to do didn't work either. Corki is getting some good burst onto that Veigar, but not enough to convince him to back under a tower. Hopper, whoa!
Ooh.
You're taking some good hits! He barely avoids the Nami Q. Very close. Very, very close. Cronenberg so trying to make that a much more easier situation. Rice, meanwhile, TP'd back into lane after he got back into it, but it seems to be the same old, as Little Green has almost too much authority in this lane right now.
There's so much gank potential topside for Life is Rice. Like, Orin is playing super far forward. You have a point-and-click ability to set up your jungler. It's just, help this man out. He is just getting abused.
It's just wrong, man. It is just wrong. And the truth is, there is not a... Oh, wait a minute, Hopper! Oh, my goodness! You have to have the most... You have to have at least the same reflexes as a ninja to manage to get that type of heal off in time. Hopper, you gotta give Abe your... like $5 after that. I would pay $5 after that. That is just incredible.
You have to respect the Caitlyn Nami lane, especially as Cog Lulu. You guys get strong. You guys get strong later, and you'll win later. Just not right now.
Just not right now. Life is Rice is finally getting that sustain back, and Ornn, with his advantage that he had earlier, is starting to slowly sap away. As finally he did get some items back. Little Green is no longer having complete control of this lane in this situation. But let's see if he goes back, grabs a couple of items, and let's see how the situation looks in the near future.
Yeah, he's doing a million times better in this lane.
He's prowling, his eyes glued onto the Rocketeer. He tried to get into position to get at least a good hit off. Does only barely miss. But anyway, it's a little bit of lockdown here. King Gwynbot is going to finally get some help here. But the first blood does go to Corki. In this wake, however, Coco Bear takes the Corki shortly after that.
Yeah, really good counter gank there from Xenon Dragon Maid. Was able to call out the position of the Jarvan, who didn't have his combo up. So just got caught between a rock and a hard place. Great job though getting the turnaround kill from Choco Bear, landing the ultimate onto Hitsuyaga.
And a pause coming in right now. Probably another minor DC coming in. Hopefully both sides can just get the game resumed pretty shortly.
I did like seeing the new rune there from the Bygar using the new Storm Raiders.
Oh,
After he got the burst off, he was able to, well, not the burst, after you land a couple abilities, you can just run really fast away. So
yeah, I can see that happening very shortly in the later fights. You know, at this point he'll get to a point where he can just hit an E, hit a W, and ult the target, and that's just wham bam, thank you ma'am, and then gone.
And I kind of wanted to talk about how bot lane is getting this like huge advantage, but Kog'Maw is actually up in CS. I'm glad we actually have this pause to look at it right here. It's 51-46. Your Caitlyn Nami into Kog'Maw Lulu, they're stabilizing and coming out just very slightly ahead. Now it is going to be a little bit rough if he does come back with a pickaxe and do a BF sword. They are still going to have the lane advantage for probably until around level 9, 10-ish, until they really start getting some items in. But that's just really good play by the duo from Never Content to be able to hold their own in that bot lane. Yeah, they had their summoners blown, and it'll definitely be more of a challenge this time around. But so far, 7 minutes into the game, that's pretty impressive.
Another curiosity I've got here, another thing that kind of makes me feel a bit concerned, is I don't see a lot of that mid-game plays in the mid lane yet. I don't see a lot of attempts for Veigar's life. I don't see a lot of big plays on him yet. They do have a lot of mobility. I know the jungler does too, but they don't want to seem to make a play on them yet. In particular, Dragon Maid does seem to be more focused and preoccupied with farming. And at the same time, Kinguin bot is mirroring Sejuani. You can even see it on the map, even though they have no wards, it does have control. Anyway, was going to also mention Coco Bear does get some harassment, almost goes down. But anyway, as I was saying, yeah, the Sejuani is just playing to the beat of the J4 drum.
Yeah, and maybe just not seeing the opportunities, maybe just really wanting to hit that level 6. There is still Flash in the mid lane, so he would be able to only probably blow the summoner. But you do have to put in the pre-work if you do want to get a gank off. I do think top lane is still a pretty good gank opportunity. The base damage that comes out of both of those champions isn't bad. You see this fight going on, Little Green just has a little bit more mana.
And that percentage damage is doing quite a bit, but the sustain, the returning health bar of that Maokai is clearly coming through, and Little Green can't seem to push the tree down to the earth.
He looks a lot more comfortable in this matchup. And just, it's so much sustain. Here's the gank we were talking about. Could it possibly happen?
It's the ultimates that seem to miss only by the slimmest of margin. Hitsuyaga wants to take one more out, but he does not get the opportunity. J4 does. He grabs himself a double, and it looks like he might get himself a triple if he can get one more auto to land. He only barely misses, but it's an immediate rescue help by
absolutely insane counter gank by Kinguin bot. Just unfortunate communication there from C9 Dragon Maid and Life is Rice and Hitsuyaga. They did have the kill there. They just needed one more auto in order for Sejuani to get the stun, but they all backed off, turning around, thinking the other person would get it.
Looks like one's got to sacrifice for the other. Oh my goodness, a B! A B, why? He was looking at it like, see ya. And goodbye, Lulu, who was expecting the AD carry to put the hand out there for the glove save, but pulled it last second.
I'm just going to say that it was just they juked the wrong way. I'm not going to say he didn't want to get hit by it.
Maybe last second communication by Lulu was saying one thing, and the last second communication by Kog'Maw said the other. I hope that's no beef, but if they do get an interview, I'd love to see what a B has to say about that.
That was pretty interesting. Yeah, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that he was trying to block it. I don't think he would have been that mean.
Mm-hmm. That communication, it looks like TSM bot lane.
I believe it.
This is coming from you being a TSM fan?
I don't want to talk about it.
Good thing I have no favorites. Oh, that seems a little
Zombie ward.
broken. Wait a second. If you take away your ward coverage and replace it, you actually get a zombie ward? Oh my goodness. That's a very broken thing that I think the Never Content team has found out. Interesting indeed, though, regardless.
These trades top are really not gonna start not going in the favor of Rice. Ornn has his first finished item.
The trading continues between both sides, and it looks like the completed item versus the not completed item is still going into the Ornn's favor. Rice trying to sustain, but it's just a losing battle so far.
I think they set up that bot lane gank just a little bit too late. They could have done that at any point during the game. They didn't have to wait for the Corki package. Sejuani and Maokai were capable of doing that gank since the first jungle rotation, but
Looks
it's really unfortunate play.
If you can get a blue trinket into that tri-bush, you'd have every single ward available in the game right now in that tri-bush. Lulu does manage to get the polymorph here. Hopper is perhaps baiting really efficiently, but Cronenberg,
Very nice.
Great job on the Q to stop the J4, and that's going to be exactly what disengaged the gank. Cronenberg once again showing his prowess. The ultimate lands. Kog'Maw now finally off the root, has finally got some shots in, but it's too late. Another bubble on the follow-up stops him immediately. And J4, whoa! He jumped at least 700 feet to get that one, but Hitsuyaga is going to punish him for that. Choco Bear does not want to commit any further. His ultimate could clearly kill both the bot lane if he wanted to, but did not think that was a good option.
There were so many good back and forth plays there. Overall, really good team fighting from the red side. That's just really good disengage by Nami, letting her team get to the rest of that fight.
Choco Bear is going to continue the damage output on to the Corki here. And the Corki is without mana, so Veigar does have a slight upper hand advantage here.
That's a really good buy, though, from Corki getting the Hex Drinker. So that way he might not be finished off with the ultimate.
Well, for Corki's sake, he's better hopes that Hex Drinker is going to be extremely effective. I don't even know if he went the rune page that does the same type of thing, but I don't know. We'll find out momentarily. Hopper, a very, very
He is
close.
so aggressive on this Lulu. He just runs into whoever.
He just grabs his little staff with both hands and then charges at full strength towards the Nami every time, and doesn't seem to pass go or collect $200 or pay any dental fees because he's getting punched right in the face back with water. That sounded a lot cooler in my head.
So it's alright. Quick look at what's going around the map. Just a slight CS lead mid. Top hitting him with the 20 CS
I
lead.
see 4 control wards by Never Content, and I see one control ward by Never Content so far, 2 now, and I see 4 by their opponent, Team NotStreamers. So it's quite clear the vision game has changed quite drastically between both sides.
Yeah, I think it's mainly because of the lanes that have them. They're more comfortable, so they're able to push up their vision line more. There is a lot of vision further back.
Same
But
gank. It looks like the exact same one. The ultimate once again misses. Both of them do. And Little Green gets out again. Maybe this is why they haven't tried it.
yeah. There's definitely the potential. Like there's so much CC and lockdown. It's just
Maybe Orange
Gotta-
is the best
gotta
top
have the-
laner of all time. Maybe that's what's going on.
Little Green is playing it very nicely.
I do not know, but in honest to goodness sake here, this really is a tightly contested matchup between both sides. And it came down to mistakes for game 1, which came to Never Content winning, of course, as we know. But the audience, who might be tuning in right now, probably doesn't know. They will now. Ultimate to attempt to steal it does not work out. He uses it and sends it flying away from his enemies, probably out of disappointment. Probably.
That was a good effort.
Yeah, it's good effort.
But they do go ahead and pick up the Rift Herald. That'll be pretty big. Does go on to the Corki. Not sure where they're going to try and drop that. Depot lane is a very good possibility. A tower is very low. No one wants to block that for Hopper.
Absolutely not. Who even is Hopper? What does he even do? What does he even do, man? And yet, it's almost looking pretty similar to what we saw last time, except more kills on the board, at least for the bot lane in particular. Hopper continues that bot lane with Kog'Maw, and Little Green continues his farm advantage against Rice. You know, at this point, if I was Rice, I'd start thinking maybe I should grab a tier so I can keep up in mana with this guy, because I just keep running out of mana trying to fight this guy off.
Yeah, they just throw in so many abilities at each other, and he has to if he tries if he's planning on sustaining in the lane.
I'm also kind of curious why he didn't get Righteous Glory. Like, usually you see Righteous Glories on Malakai's when that kind of thing happens, you know?
Well, going with the Spirit Visage, he does get the huge heals off of the passive, so I could see the justification behind it.
Agreed, agreed. So, the next question, I'd say, is when is the next big play? Because so far we're getting right back to just the farm fest that is this match. And both sides are just trying to get the most out of these type of games, you know, to understand the importances of what their damages can do and whatnot. But honestly, I'm hoping tomorrow is going to be a definitely brand new type of play style, because this is clearly looking a lot more like a Season 7. But I do see a little bit of that Season 8 meta possibly in the future. Maybe.
We do see a play coming down bot. Teleport's coming in.
And it is coming in. Kog'Maw is going to stay in the area despite being low, and Little Green takes out the Caitlyn, and the J4 squashes the Nami. But in the mid lane, Veigar gets caught a little bit, does get the stun off in time. Veigar's going to try to get some extra trade-off here. I don't think he's that strong, but Chocobear thinks he can get one more hit to land. He does lower one of the health bars. He needs to make up his mind. He doesn't have that much life left, and he does go down. A little bit of a misunderstanding of which one he should be hitting and which one should be running away.
Yeah, you asked when the next big play was. There it is. Bot lane just not clearing out the wards behind them. They were able to get collapsed on. There was a good response mid. It was a good response mid to get the return kill, but now you see Rift Herald being dropped topside to try to answer the tower.
And does do the trick. Down goes the tower at the top side. This is the first time Little Green has ever said goodbye to his tower in quite that fashion. He will go ahead and get rid of the Herald.
For Paleo Storm here, their big objective is, now that Caitlyn has her first item finish, might want to also pick up the IE before they do anything too crazy. But Corki does have the Triforce. If you're going to group as a team, now is the time. That particular item spike is more important. So he's going to be doing so much damage right now. Caitlyn with the rapid fire, or not with the rapid fire, with the static shiv alone, it does do a lot of damage. She does have the BF sword to back it up. If he gets lucky on a couple of the crits, she might even pick up bot lane tower here. She looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. So that'll be a nice little gold swing as well.
Not going to lie, they definitely have their own rotational plans going on here. Top lane is about to be sieged in by the bot lane that happens to be, at this point, pretty strong. They take out the tower topside as Caitlyn continues the siege on the split at bot. Veigar is starting to run down there as fast as he can. And Caitlyn, with no vision, makes the wise decision to back off, seeing that Veigar now just showed up in the bot lane. So,
Yeah, good job from both teams trying to answer towers back to back. A little bit of an advantage going over to Never Content. Although the towers are 2-2, they have developed a 2K gold lead.
And one of the reasons I dare say as to why Never Content is still ahead in this fashion is because top lane won so convincingly, and so did the other lane.
Do you see a fight breaking
get
out?
Caught in a little bit of that ultimate at the end. Hitsu Yaga does manage to get that damage to come through. The double O onto each other is only going to make it easier for Caitlyn to avoid one and uses, avoid both, and he's going to grab himself the two Ringmakers.
Huge fight for Paleostorm. We just talked about it. Hey, when are they going to need to do something? Corki's so big right now. Caitlyn's big right now. And you saw it in that fight. They're just putting out so much damage. The Sejuani came up huge, hitting so many stuns in that fight. Was able to get the passive off multiple times.
I thought you were just spinning a yarn here, telling an old wives' tale about how much burst damage a Corki and Caitlyn could do together in the mid-game. But it's quite obvious you were definitely not doing that. And the Ocean Drake seems to be also the reward afterwards.
Yeah, they executed that as good as they possibly could have. C9 Dragon Maid coming up so big, able to be the front line, lock down so many targets. Corki and Caitlyn, they just had to play AD carry. They're just chipping away at all these health bars.
Kingwin bot does secure the red buff here. Doesn't give it to the AD carry Kog'Maw, interestingly enough. Well, Kingwin bot's not really concerned that much about those Maokai saplings. They used to be pretty devastating. Nowadays, they just seem to be a nice little tickle for anybody who happens to be going along.
Something to note here is that Life is Rice did go down the inspiration tree again. Does have those boots. 20 minutes into the game, though, might need to upgrade that.
Yep.
Some tenacity would be great.
In particular, yes, indeed. Considering Orange CC lockdown's been going pretty well, J4 is also a big issue, and so on and so forth. Everything kind of gets to settle down a little bit. Hype happens, settles down a little bit. Hype happens, settle down. Let's see if that's going to continue for the next 10 minutes, but that's what happened last time. Cronenberg gets caught again, and that's going to be a quick catch and grab, and goodbye.
It's the same time of the game where they made that same play last time. It was around that 22, 23-minute mark. They just gain complete vision control over Baron side, and they go ahead and bait out a pick over there.
It works. It's been working consistently, and Nami happens to be another person for the collection for that strategy to work. That's just been working almost too well for Never Content, Team Never Content, as they just have almost insane control of everything that they do. And the vision is very much the reason for that every time.
Yeah, it's mainly on Paleostorm when they reset. They need to realize, like, okay, what's our next objective? Like, it doesn't necessarily need to be like, hey, let's go siege up a tower right now. But even maintaining vision, like, over a prime area like Baron at around 20 minutes is, like, super important.
You know,
because your team keeps getting picked in that area. Hopper needs to be a little careful.
He was expecting them to probably pass by and not even worry about them at all, but that was obviously not true. They're going to go ahead and clear out some wards. Honestly, this is just like, maybe this is Season 8. It's the ward wars. Because I feel like it's ward warring right now between both sides. The ultimates
almost getting caught.
Force the disengage to happen. The root has only affected one champion in particular.
It's very good by Paleostorm there, getting the vision over by the Baron side. It's probably going to get cleared out right now. There might be an engage.
Orange certainly going to try to make it happen, but the ultimate goes wide and misses poorly. You know, if those guys were pins, that's about my average bowling accuracy right there.
Sejuani gets put in the cage, nothing happens out of it.
Wards destroyed and resurrected as now the new wards on the opposing side. And honestly, I think that might be really busted. I think that might be very, very, very broken. Because that just seems like the visions have tripled in caliber and in value. I think if anything, the new patch, when it does come around, or any hot fixes, is definitely going to shrink the zombie wards to a very proper and concise degree, I'd say. Because it's really, I've said it multiple times now, probably too many times in particular, but it's almost completely redefining how people have been playing this game so far. Like, without that vision, Never Content would not be so dominant against Team NotStreamers.
It just puts that more of a priority on making sure you clear out vision before you go into an area. And if you are trying to get vision, to not face check and go by yourself.
But the vision war continues between both of these teams here, who are fighting for every inch of vision that they can get their hands on. Honestly, it's kind of a shame, really, because normally we could probably fix the Fog of War to make it so that way you can understand a little bit better about what each side is trying to fight for vision. But honestly, there's just that 1 second we do that, there could be a huge fight to break out. So it's kind of difficult to honestly gauge what side really needs the vision and what side doesn't. But you can just tell the importance of it in this battle for both sides.
Yeah, both teams want to be sure that when they do go ahead and pull the trigger, they're confident with the location of their champion, so that way they can position back in team fights.
Yeah, it's a bit boring in a certain regard. I think it's boring anyway.
It's boring, but it's necessary. And I'm sure the players inside the game don't find it too boring.
Well, looks like one says, hey, wait a second, we can probably take a Baron. They're all the way over in the middle of the lane here. While the other is saying, wait a minute, that flashback of what happened last time, I don't want that. I don't
the issue here is that both teams are clearing out each other's wards, but no one's defending the wards. All it takes is one good ward defense. But nice play here. Are they going to be able to bait out the Baron? It looks like it is going to happen. There's going to be a fight. Great Nami ultimate over the top of all 5 members.
Indeed, it was great, and it does manage to make the situation all the more easier for the CC lockdown to follow up by both sides. There's so much explosions going on, and it's not just water cannons. It is just pure, unadulterated fire happening on each side here. 3 members on one side goes down, and 2 members on the other, and somehow all the tanks have died, but all the carries and the supports have lived. Somehow,
yeah,
all of that.
Yeah, somehow Corky ended up a little bit late to that fight there. Dragon Maid going in a bit too early. Did land a very nice ultimate, layering it on top of Cronenberg's as well. But they were able to melt down the tanks and get onto the carries.
The Sejuani, as well as the Maokai, were the main focus here, and the Caitlyn was also taken out pretty quickly too. And the damage does look pretty good. But then again, it doesn't look like either side has the upper hand yet again. The vision control game is almost insanely important, as I've mentioned at least 700 times now. There's not really too much more to say, really. It's like, the thing is, with supports, it's like, it's a very important thing to have in general, but both teams are like, this is the biggest thing. We need to have vision in every single situation. I don't want to walk into a bush if it's not warded.
Basically, it's just all going to come down to if they actually go ahead and defend these wards.
The green on the split on the bot lane. Maokai gonna tend with this, but it's probably gonna be the same thing, same old, same old. The 200, massive farm lead is only gonna make it so that little green should have a massive advantage against Maokai. Caitlyn is now moving over. The objective of Baron here is not seemingly important for Outlaw, as he does think he can maybe get a catch off of the Ornn. Caitlyn is now in the lane, but is circling back now as pings are starting to be made of the vision control in this area. You know, Team Not Content is definitely forcing Team NotStreamers to play the ward war with them.
No, I was going to say nobody wants to pull the trigger, but here they are. They're doing Baron. They had vision of somebody not nearby, and so they go ahead and start it up. It gets down to 5k.
The speed
they decide
is
to back
quick,
off.
and the TP by Corky has been used, so that means they actually have forced both of the side lanes out of their TP options.
This would have been a great time for Paleostorm to go ahead and do the Baron, but they would not want to do it, I guess.
It's, again, the fear impact of both sides is clearly starting to show. What they don't know can kill them. The dark is night, the night is dark and full of terrors, and that's exactly what they are completely afraid of. It's almost like a Nocturne passive being applied, and it looks like they actually got their own catch, and then it looks like they're going to continue to do so. The Nami survives the damage, but the Ornn does actually take out the Nami, actually. Never mind, Sejuani gets out the Ornn in the situation. The Kog'Maw gets some damage at the front, and they're running them over with damage. The Corky gets one on the way out, but that's the ace. Almost out of nowhere.
That Ornn held the front line for so long, tanked so many abilities. And then eventually Vigar just came through, flashed over the wall, hit an AD with the one shot.
Yep, and it is going to be a 2 dealing with that situation to get that siege onto the tower. I'm kind of surprised he put that so far back. The Nami's coming up. The Sejuani will be coming up pretty soon. I thought they would continue the siege in particular, but they didn't. I thought they would keep going. I thought they'd try it.
Yeah, they're going to get the reset, clear out some vision around Baron, of course, again. And then we'll see what happens after that.
It's almost like I hope this isn't going to be the meta. Because watching all these this ward battle has been to a level of karma for me, because you know how much I love wards and how much people love to place them. We're going to be possibly looking at 100 wards being placed, like, by both teams, at least.
Yeah, there was definitely, over that last game, this game not looking anything different. They're going to go ahead and start up the Baron, though, seeing the Vigar bot side.
6,
he does have teleport,
5,
and they
4,
do have vision of this.
Now, they ran him over last time. Are they going to try it again? The Ornn managed to hit all members on it at the same time. They're trying to disengage. They're throwing waves. They're throwing branches. They're throwing trees at them. They're trying to stop them. They're engaging. And the other might have been a little bit too committed. It looks like the tree that went in has been caught on the way out. And the Caitlyn drops the trap to cause the divide, but it wasn't enough. And that is one of their big engaging members just going down here. It's going to now come down to what is left in the tank by their opponents here. Is it Baron time? It looks like it might be Baron time. They now know that the Baron is being attacked and sieged here. They don't have any vision on it right now, but it's not going to be for long. Nami does get some wards. It's a little bit of vision. They have 4,000, 3,000, 2,000, 1.
He does have smite.
And Kog'Maw confirms it, but it's going to be an immediate fight right afterwards. They do not have Maokai. This might be a big risky play that doesn't pay off for them. This is a four members on the fight here, and Vhagar takes out 2 as Ornn goes down again.
That was a great baby cage put up from Choco Bear. Sejuani was trying to get over to the side of the Baron pit, but he completely blocked her off, and she wasn't able to get the steal.
No way, indeed, no how. Choco Bear is going to continue the tower damage siege. The stun has landed. The damage is not going to commit through. I thought Vhagar was going to trust a little bit more. Hitsuyaga takes out J4. What? Bryce is now holding down, and Kog'Maw gets bursted as well. At the same time, Abby takes out the tree, and now all that's left are 2 very squishy champions on each side. He hits the missile from across the map. Who is this man?
Yeah, he's pretty fed.
He's sniping. Oh my goodness, the ultimate slams him back. And it looks like the missile does not kill him. It's going to be a close Chris Kyle situation between these 2 snipers.
That is just intense back and forth. But this is Corky's biggest part of the game right here. He's sitting on his huge 3-item spike. And at 12-3, he's definitely pretty powerful.
Oh, I'm crunching my body too much. Because it's so
I mean,
unhyped.
there's still so much potential for Paleostorm to like get a really good team fight if they can get onto some of the priority targets. What's happening though is just all of this goes into Ornn, and by the time Choco finds a carry, he's pretty big himself, and he can just pretty much alt Q, and they go down at that point.
Okay. Probably should stop yelling at the top of my lungs at least. might be a little too loud. Okay.
And despite how close all these team fights are looking,
The vision game.
Never
continues.
Content still is rocking a gold lead, almost 6K up. At 35 minutes, that's still pretty big.
It's like a yin-yang thing going on here. And Team NotStreamers, aka Paleostorm, is getting some benefits out of the situation here. It looks like they caught Little Green out, and Little Green's going to try to tank as long as he can. He does end up dying. The tree tries to get onto the Kog'Maw. It is not enough. And the engage has traded that both of the top laners are out and for the count. But that, I think, gives the benefit to the late game team. Bye-bye, Nami.
Oh.
And here comes Outlaw getting caught by the J4. But the J4 has managed. Oh! The Zanya's Hourglass was being purchased, and that actually backfires against the Caitlyn.
Bought the stopwatch, but it didn't do enough.
Didn't?
Was a good outplay, but then set him up for the combo right after that. He doesn't need to ult you to one-shot you. Yeah, that's how big he is.
Yep, and he's just going to get even stronger at this point in the game. So the real question is, do they want to catch out, just like what they did with Game 1? Are they trying to catch him out again to win the game? Or are they going to try to flex their muscles because they've got the late game? It's starting to feel like they're late game champions right now, and just try to go for the win.
I mean, that's probably what it's going to end up being. The one trend I do see happening again from last game is Team Never Content. They aren't particularly fond of engaging, and they like to wait for the enemy team to engage on top of them. They're really good at kiting backwards and then re-engaging the fight after the fact. So I do think that's probably how the rest of this game is going to play out.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. You know,
What Paleostorm has to worry about, though, is they're not going to get any stronger. Their comp starts falling off towards this part of the game, whereas now you have Kog'Maw and Veigar to worry about on the other team. They're never going to stop scaling.
infinitely, in fact, yes. And Kog'Maw has gone with the Wit's End here, which I do think is kind of interesting. Not going to go for a more crit option with an Infinity Edge or something. You know, you already have yourself the Hurricane. Might as well commit more into the crit option, I would say, at this point. But he definitely wants to keep applying that to try to lower the health bars of the tanks. Yeah, this one I would assume you'd use the Wit's End for, because you know you're going to hit the target multiple times.
Well, and then we see when Maokai goes in on dives onto the backline, he's melting pretty quickly.
Yep,
So
very quickly.
it's chunking out the tanks.
Well, Team Not Content is now going to be split pushed upon. Corki is sieging the mid tower, is going to continue to do so here. They're going to try to keep him off. Corki is not a part of that fight. Corki's still on the split here. If they don't make a catch soon, Corki might be able to get himself a tower. They actually do manage to make a catch here.
Oh,
The
great
damage
bubble there.
Onto King. Once again, the great play by Cronenberg. The redemption land here. They need to commit right now. Corki is going for the inhibitor. The catches are finally going to come through, and the damage has finally gone all the way across. Finally, they pulled the trigger when they noticed that it was 4 members, and that could be the sign of the end of the game. The second inhibitor comes down. First one already came down earlier, and now
Yeah,
the siege has
can they
begun
make
on
a
the
hero
Nexus.
play? He does get stunned up.
Hitsuyaga does get some auto attacks in, and
Nexus towers are going down.
Fortunately, the Nexus towers are falling way too quickly. Rice is only...
And that'll be the game.
Yep, it will be, ladies and gentlemen. Veigar takes another kill on the way out, 12, 3, and 10, and Veigar will sign us out here with the Nexus destruction. Victory to Never
did not
Content.
think that's how the game was going to end. They tried to defend that top inhibitor just a little bit too much, and they ended up all dying for it, not really letting Corki finish his job. You could have just backed off and let them have one inhib for inhib trade. That would have been okay, but they saw the opportunity. They were wasn't content with just getting the inhib. They wanted the entire game, and they took the series.
You mean wasn't content? I think you meant never content.
No, they still want more after that.
They
After that performance, like, give them another game.
give him another one, folks. Give him another one. Personally, you gotta take what you get, and you gotta move on. And I think that is around the time where we go ahead and see if we can get the straw poll set up for you folks to see what you guys think about the MVP option. Really, honestly, it's a bit of a close gambit here. Abi really told me that he should be the MVP in a certain way with his, consistent Kog'Maw play. That is, when you're even firing behind, you can still get that type of damage output, that kind of damage ferocity. You can say that with this guy, but you can also say the same thing about Choco Bear and his damage output and his kill-death ratio looks absolutely great. But is there anything in particular that you think should be the MVP, Exton?
I mean, if I just had to point out like a couple like key performances here, Little Green on the Ornn, absolutely disgusting. He hit some amazing ultimates in both games. We're talking 3, 4, 5-man ultimates, absolute lane dominance. Didn't get ganked at all. Like even when they had 2, 3 people diving him topside, still managed to get out, turning most of them. Absolute monster on the Ornn. Kinguin with the counter ganks consistently in both games, coming up huge. Chaco being standing strong in his lane twice in a row. Bot lane surviving against the Caitlyn Nami. Overall, though, I'd say Little Green was just an absolute monster.
An absolute monster indeed, and the ward battle. I cannot wait to take a look at that match history in particular. While we are still waiting for that match history, let's go ahead and check out how the straw poll is doing here. I'm going to take my vote. I'm going to place it right now for all your viewing pleasure. I'm going to say that Kinguin bot, I think he's got the jungle spot here. Let's take a look at the votes here. 7 votes, 8 votes coming in as a whole. But it looks like we might have funny stuff. Looks like I saw somebody change their name to a president. Kinguin Bot's got a massive lead right now, and I don't think that's going to be swinging anywhere or any other way in any other direction. That guy was just incredible. But let's take a look at the war coverage here, because honestly, that was a huge, massive factor in this game.
You don't even want to see it.
I don't even want to see it. I'm probably going to throw up after seeing how many wards were placed.
Frickin' Kinguin. Again.
Let me see. 26 wards destroyed by the Sichuan. 53 wards placed by the Jarvan.
That's actually a hero effort by C9 Dragon Maid. Frickin' 14 control wards purchased, 26 wards denied. You could tell that was the objective. To secure that Baron area and to fight around that objective, that was just
battle after battle, war after war for this very important idea of vision. And there was no doubt in my mind that was pretty strong stuff. Let's go ahead and take a look at everything else statistically important. You can see the fights in the match breakdown here. You can see that they just mostly happened in the river. It kind of lets me think that Never Content had the rune page, that Walking on Water. They might have had that page in this area, which is why it was so much focus in this specific area for the Baron. Maybe they were trying to bait them by forcing more of the area controlled to get that extra amp in damage in the river. Maybe that's where their strategy was with getting so many wards placed. What do you think?
Possibly. I think their strategy was, hey, let's just ward the hell out of this. They can't see us. We can see them coming in. Let's go for some picks, and it worked. And it kept working. So.
All right. Well, it looks like there's no doubt about it. Kinguin Bot, I think, has gotten the MVP almost by a pure landslide. We also got some interviews for us in the near future as well. Let's go ahead and get on with our interview first. Kinguin Bot, congratulations, you've won the MVP, man. I will be seeing if you've got some time for the interview in particular. I'll go ahead and drag you in. I hope it's going to be all right. I hope you're not going to be too busy. But King Wimbot, congratulations on your MVP. You earned it. That is an insane amount of war coverage. That's almost laughable. He placed a total of 110 plus wards. That's
Yeah, that's actually insane.
That's a bot game. Let's just talk about let's talk about a bronze game. A bronze game would average around 50 wards for 2 games.
Probably in the entire series, yeah.
Yeah, in the entire series, yeah. In this game, he doubled that and then added a little dab afterwards with extra wards. This man has fidget spinners that are wards. Ward spinners. And I'm convinced of that. And I'm going to ask him personally when I can get him in here.
That zombie ward is just OP.
All right. Looks like I can't tell who's who, really. I actually can't tell who he is and who he isn't. Hopefully I can get a message telling me soon enough. I'm trying to look for at Never Content. It's Naughty Dog. Okay, sweet. All right, now I'll go ahead and drag Naughty Dog into the casting lobby. Let's go ahead and get some questions on him, shall we? Hey, Naughty Dog. Nate Dog,
Hello.
actually. Sorry, Nate Dog. Dude.
What's up?
Did you just, like, hear every single interview I've ever been talking about and all those MVPs, and we're like, you know what? I'm going to ward over 100 times and get this MVP. No man is stopping this MVP interview. No man.
I don't know. That's what my team tells me to do. They tell me to be a ward, so I just place as many wards as possible.
Place as many wards as possible. I think you set the bar for how many wards you can place. Game 1, 66 wards. Game 2, 53. Dude. How? I
don't know. That seems like a lot, to be honest. Even knowing, I didn't look at this after the game,
I don't even know a support that can ward that many. It's like you have like those new runes, man. Those zombie wards are insane, like insanely strong.
Yeah, I do think the zombie ward is pretty good for junglers, especially because you're moving around the map and you're pretty much always clearing wards.
Pretty much always, indeed. Anyway, we got some questions for you in particular about the game style of this. Exxon, do you have any questions, or do you want me to handle it?
Huh? No, you're good, man. Yeah.
All right. Well, then I'll go on and get on to the point here. So the strategy. So let's start off from the top. You go into the first game. You're playing the first game here. You look at your opponent dead in the eyes and say, "I'm going to outward you." Why would you say that to them?
I don't know. We just felt like if we didn't give up any early kills, didn't let their bot lane let the Jinx get rolling, it was clear that they were going to play around the Jinx after the draft. So our plan was just to not let the Jinx get and not give up any free kills, and we'd pretty much win the game through team fighting after that.
That's true. You did, actually. Game 1 in particular, you managed to win the game through catching out your opponent who basically walked into the darkness of the night, which happened to be just you guys running him over with your very, very, very tanky Orin top.
Yeah, he was Kenny's a beast.
He absolutely is, and honestly, I don't see him being nearly as successful the next time because, my goodness, there was almost a free reign of dominance that he could just get so much stronger in the near future. I gotta ask, though, out of pure curiosity here, why that many? Because you can.
Why that many what?
That many wards, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if the zombie ward like contributes to your numbers placed, like if it counts as one. But I don't know. Like it felt like they were clearing a lot of the wards, especially the pink wards. So every time I based, I just bought like 2 or 3 pink wards and just pretty much don't be stingy with them. Just place them whenever you need to. You
Okay.
can always go back and get more.
So, a minor critique here, and this might be just a bit of criticism, but don't be taking this the wrong way. You did win the fan favorite and, my personal MVP. But one thing in particular that we were semi-curious about was how come there were times where it was like a little bit of misreading of how much damage you had when it came into these engages, because it kind of felt like you guys were a little bit worried about how much damage was going to happen and stuff like that. So like, what was the deal with that in particular? Did you guys how are you guys gauging the situation?
I don't know. Like, I built damage Jarvan, so pretty much my job was to like dive the AD and just try to do as much damage to him as possible. Now I'm not completely used to the new runes and stuff. They just came out today, so
Right.
my damage was a little off. So like when I went into like pretty much suicide myself for a kill, I didn't always get that kill, and that's just I think that'll just come with practice with the new runes and stuff.
All right, I see what you're saying here. Well, then we'll go on to our final question here. You just, this team that you were up against closed out their opponents 37 minutes, just completely stomped their last opponent rather quickly, and then you guys, you dragged out the game, you made the game a playing style of your choice. You played to the beat of their drum, which, by the way, I want to also mention, your J4 was almost like you just knew exactly where Sejuani was at every stage of the game, thanks to your incredible warding, by the way. And
Thank
also
you.
the Ram is too. I only want to say, what do you have to say with your victory here? You guys are like putting yourselves at a much higher in the standings now. What do you guys have to say about it? What do you feel?
I don't really know, to be honest. I don't know. I don't feel like we. I mean, I feel like we played pretty standard. So it's just, I don't know. We practice a lot, so we have a lot of synergy and stuff, and that's what we're gonna keep doing. So hopefully it continues to work.
Well, hopefully for your sake, it also continues to work too. I guess I technically said that was my final question. I probably should end with that, but I do have like this one thing. The game 2, you guys noticed the Corki was mid. You made the engage. You won the game shortly after that. I wanted to say congratulations on that victory in particular, and I totally forgot my question, so I'm gonna move on.
Okay.
You won the game. Congratulations on that. Thank you very much for being part of this match, and thank you very much for letting me cast you, my friend.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, guys.
Nate Dogg 3725 with the interview. Thank you very much for being a part of it, man. See you possibly next time if you can continue that. Oh, there's too many wards for my own taking, but continue the great work, my friend.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Season 8 is a crazy one, ladies and gentlemen, but it looks like it's finally going to come to an end for now. Let's see how the next game will go around for us. But anyway, my name is Army Overlord.
And I'm next on.
And we thank you very much for watching. We really appreciate you guys for watching every single one of these matches so far. Bit of a slow day today in comparison to the rest, but hey, you know what? We got people to care about the new things. The problem is, with the new season, it's like teams, studying is more important in a sense of understanding than it is to do it the other way around. And sometimes that means I need to practice more and more games, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles. So in any case, folks, for those of you who did watch, I really appreciate that. I very much thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching this type of stuff. And I will see you guys as the cameraman tomorrow as the next couple of guys are coming around. We'll thank you once more because we really like thanking you because we're a thankful group of people. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you, by the way.
Oh, of course.
No.
I was like overthinking everything. I didn't even get a thank you. You're right. Oh yeah, Exton, yes, thank you as well for showing up, and you're welcome.
I'll hear thank you one more time. I'll blow my brains out.
We don't want that. We don't want that type of thing to happen. Goodbye, everybody, and good night. And thank